Hey Scrappers, it's Vanessa, and today I have a layout for Traci Reed Designs, and I also have a blog post up on Traci's blog. And so it's my solo post for this month. And what I decided is to do a challenge, a sort of a challenge type of layout. So I decided to do challenge accepted and to create a layout using just pattern paper or just papers from one of Traci's collections. In this case, I went with the collection called My Person. And so I have all of these papers. Some are scraps, some are 8.5 by 11 pattern papers that I printed. So I pulled out the scraps that I had and then the other papers that I hadn't cut into. And I'm going to create a page, and what I decided is I wasn't going to use any of the journaling cards or stickers or any the printable alphas, nothing. I do hybrids, so everything I do is print and cut kind of concept. So I decided to not use any of the embellishments. That's basically what we're going with. So I am definitely one of those people that I will buy tons of stamps and dies, and I forget to use them because when I'm playing with my collections, whether it's digital or paper collections that I've purchased, I always buy the embellishments, and I tend to forget that I have all these other items in my stash that could actually make embellishments that I can use on my pages, as opposed to always using the pre-printed or a ready-made embellishments. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to create a layout, and so I have a whole bunch of stuff here to the side. I have tons of dies, so I pulled out dies to use. I have stamps, so a whole bunch of stamps I just went and pulled. And then the other thing I did was I pulled some ink colors that matched the collection. So I'll show those to you really quick. And so I have my ink ready to go. I have my papers. I have my dies. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the items that I want with my dies, with the pattern papers you see here. Get all of that ready. And then we're going to come back and I will speed up the video and we will go ahead and actually put the layout together. So I'll show you as we're going all the things that I ended up die cutting. I'm not going to show the die cutting on camera because that gets kind of tedious and kind of boring. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I might even do a little bit, I might save a little bit of stamping for the video, but I am going to stamp just a few items and I'll highlight them when I come back so you can see what I stamped as well. But this is definitely a challenge. If you want to take it up, I'd love to see what you guys create, taking and using just pattern paper and creating your own embellishments and creating a layout that does not use any of the pre-made ephemera pieces that you get. So if you want to take up challenge accepted, be sure to leave me a link or something where I can go see your layout. I'd love to see what you guys create. And so guys, give me a few minutes and we will get this layout put together. Okay, now it is time to go ahead and put our layout together. So I showed everything I was going to use at the beginning, and so I have gone ahead and done all the die cutting and the stamping and all of the embellishments that I was creating for the page. I've done all of that, and you'll see those as we go. I am taking a stencil here that is some hearts and some Victorian velvet, I think is the Distress Oxide color, and I have the wood grain pattern paper from the collection for my background, and so I'm going to just add some stenciling to the background, again just to give a little bit of background interest to my pattern paper. And then I am going to take that plaid paper, which was a scrap, so I just cut it down to a bit more of an actual rectangle. It had a jagged edge, so I just cut that down. It's probably about an 8.5 by 8.5, give or take. It's not quite a perfect square, I don't think. And then I cut down a piece of that XOXO pattern paper and just went ahead and created my background. I did map my photo on 2 scraps of the green and the deeper reddish pink with the hearts pattern paper from the collection, and matted those kind of on an angle in my photo in the center. And then I did go ahead and add a little bit of texture with some ribbon to that XO paper, because again, everything I'm using on this page, because I've made my own embellishments, is all paper. So I did want to bring in something that gave me a different texture and just a bit more, little bit of detail on the page that wasn't going to be paper. So now that I have my background in place, and you see my title, that was also created with a die and using the green and the heart pattern paper that I backed my photo with. I used that to cut my title. Now you see I am building out my clusters, which are both going to frame my title on the top and bottom of the page. And everything that I'm using here is items that I have either fussy cut some of the florals from one of the pattern papers from the collection, so I used that to make my own embellishments. And then I took other pattern papers from the collection and I went ahead and stamped labels and tickets and cameras and little different bits and pieces that I could use on my embellishment clusters to dress up my page. And then I did take out my stamps, and I took some of the pattern papers and I went ahead and stamped some florals and some leaves to go with the florals. And I'm just going ahead here and I'm just building out my clusters. So I'm just showing you how they're going to look, and then I am going to glue them down off camera. So obviously I do move things around a little bit, but essentially the 2 clusters stay in those 2 corners on the bottom left and top right. So there you see I have got everything glued down, and I did pop up my photos as well since I wanted to give some dimension to that as well. I've also popped up a few of the florals too on the page just to give some extra dimension. Now again, to add something that has a different texture and a different height on the page, I pulled out some enamel dots in the colors that I was using for this page, and I'm just going to dot around little clusters of these enamel dots. Again, it just gives a bit more interest, a different texture, and I really love how this layout turned out. To finish it off, I am going to come in with some of this white gloss paint and just do some splatters. I did cover my photo, and I'm just going to add these little bit of splatters. Again, this gives a bit more dimension and texture to the page as well. So I really love how it turned out. Don't forget to check out the blog in the description box below. It will go into a bit of detail on this page as well. And be sure to grab any of Traci's collections. They're all beautiful, and you can make your own embellishments just like I did. If you go ahead and do this, please make sure to leave me a comment and let me know where I can find your layout if you make one that uses your own embellishments. And so with that, guys, I'll catch you on the next one. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.